And breaking tonight, Unite has announced that over 1,000 of their members at Transport for London and London Underground are planning to strike on June the 21st, the same day the hard-left RMT plans to begin their week of rail chaos. Despite the fact millions of Brits are already facing a worsening cost of living crisis, militant union boss Mick Lynch, who, by the way, enjoys a £124,000 a year salary in pay and benefits, he doesn't give a damn about the chaos and carnage he'll bring to so many of our lives.
Well, we don't want disruption for anyone, and I apologise for this disruption that people may have to suffer. We don't follow the comings and goings of Glastonbury and pop concerts. There's never a good time to have a railway dispute. So whichever time was chosen would cause disruption, and I apologise for that, and I don't want that to happen. I want to serve the communities, I want the economy to be sound, and I want people using public transport for the sake of our climate and our environment. We can get to that position if we get proper proposals from these companies to settle these disputes. But we cannot passively sit round while our members become poorer and they are under a threat of losing their jobs. That's not acceptable to us.
Given the extent of the chaos that bloke wants to cause, you'd expect all sensible political parties to be united in opposition to the blackmail tactics. But Labour has shown where its loyalties really lie. Check out the reaction from Shadow Policing Minister Sarah Jones.
Talk to me about rail strikes. We also heard from the Health Secretary this morning saying both sides need to get round the table like adults and make sure that this does not happen, these 3 days of rail strikes. What does Labour think?
We think that everybody needs to talk about how to resolve this. Nobody wants strikes. Nobody wants the disruption. We should be completely clear about that. Trade unions are there to make sure they stand up for their workers, for the rights, for pay, for conditions, and it's absolutely right they should do that.
By contrast, Transport Secretary Grant Shapps revealed on Sunday that the government was poised to draw up plans for new laws to stop disruptive rail strikes, echoing Margaret Thatcher's firm stance to the unions in the 1980s. So what do you think about this? Should Labour condemn the planned RMT strikes? Dan at GBNews.uk, tweet me at GBNews, vote in our poll. The results shortly, but to debate this now, I'm joined by Conservative MP and Commons Transport Committee member Greg Smith, former Labour London Mayor Ken Livingstone, and journalist and author Angela Epstein. Good evening all. Ken Livingstone, why is the Labour Party not condemning this strike, which is going to ruin the day-to-day lives of so many hard-working Brits?
Look, people join a union, as I did, to defend your jobs and to get a decent salary. And this last 12 years since the Tories came back to power, inequality in Britain has doubled. We're the fifth richest nation in the world, but a fifth of our people are living in poverty. And I was always prepared to support people striking to get a better life for themselves. But in this country, almost all the wealth created goes to the super rich, the top 1%. And that's wrong. We need a fairer Britain.
But this strike is going to destroy lots of small businesses. So I'll give you an example, Ken. I was with my hairdresser earlier today. Do you like the cut? And he said he will not be able to travel in to do his job for the entire week. He's absolutely terrified about the fact it's going to wipe out his business. He will be unable to pay the bills. That is the consequence of the strike. It's not destroying the rich, Ken. It's destroying small businesses, hard-working Brits. How do you justify it?
No, this is caused by a government that is not doing enough to defend people. And that's the reality of it. Those wages need to go up. And a lot of the people in that union are worried that they're going to start cutting the number of jobs. And that is a disaster. I mean, when you look back, when I became the leader of the Great London Council back in '81, we massively cut the fares. The number of people using the transport system soared, and loads of people stopped using their cars, cut down on pollution. I've always believed, I've never learned to drive, I've always got on the bus or the tube, and I think that's the best thing for our society. And you look now, I mean, under Boris Johnson, his 8 years of mayor, when he cancelled all my work to tackle air pollution from vehicles, 76,000 Londoners died in the 8 years he was mayor. That's a disaster. We've got to tackle...
Well, the roads in London are also a disaster at the moment. Look, I want to bring Greg Smith in on this. Greg, it was very telling that the Labour Party all day today have failed to condemn these strikes. Clearly they support them, Greg, I would say.
I mean, look, that's very clear. And certainly on my select committee, the Transport Select Committee, whenever we have a union in as a witness, all the Labour members sit there and declare their union membership, because the unions are the paymasters of the British Labour Party right now. And that's a problem. That's why they won't condemn these strikes. And they're not just strikes that are going to cripple businesses. They take tens of millions of pounds out of the UK economy whilst they're on, but they will also severely disrupt children's lives. This is peak GCSE season. And in my constituency, go to the railway stations just before it's time to go to school, and you'll see hundreds of children getting on the train, getting on the Chiltern line to go either into Aylesbury, to the grammar schools there, or down to Chesham to go to school. This is going to disrupt children's GCSEs as well. It's just unacceptable.
It's disgrace. Not to mention, by the way, all the folk who want to get to Glastonbury Music Festival, and that is going to cause absolute chaos for such a significant event in this country's summer calendar. Angela Epstein, it was interesting. Today I read quite a fascinating piece by the Daily Telegraph's Christopher Hope, who said that this strike could actually be the best thing to happen to Boris Johnson politically, given the Labour Party are going to be exposed as supporting this sort of thing because of how tied in with the unions they remain.
I think that's absolutely right, because Keir Starmer, who thus far stands for very little, or if he does stand for something, he's hiding it very diligently, has failed to face down these hard left unions and say, not nobody wants it. Well, no, nobody wants it. Say, this is wrong. It's morally indefensible. It's repugnant. It's holding ordinary people to ransom. You know, strikes, it's estimated that a strike each day is going to cost between 10 and 50 million pounds. Are they tone deaf? Can they not hear and see what's happening out there? All the things you've said about the cost of living crisis, about children not being able to get to school, and just generally paralysing the transport network. And Ken sort of mentioned about, you know, wealth being focused in certain areas. I read recently that Mick Lynch, I think his latest pay packet was something like £124,000 a year, which is about, what is it, 5 or 6 times the...
He lives in a mansion, Ken, doesn't he, this Mick Lynch, who wants to hold the country to ransom? He's not a man of the people, Ken Livingstone.
Pardon?
Mick Lynch, he's not a man of the people, is he? He lives in a mansion.
Well, I have no idea what he lives in. I mean, I've just lived in an ordinary terrace house all my life, and it hasn't affected or determined my politics. So, I mean, a lot of the best left-wingers and socialists in world history have actually come from very rich backgrounds, but they're there...
He's rich through the union. Do you not understand my point? His pay packet, £125,000, including benefits.
Yeah, I mean, I would much prefer to have a society in which we all had a basic salary, whether you were the boss or working at the bottom. I've always been a good commitment to actually redistributing wealth. I mean, you actually look back, when I was in power at the GLC or at City Hall, I put the bulk of the money into raising the salaries of the poorest people.
It's called communism, isn't it? Angela, come in.
So I was going to say, Ken, so you happy to declare now on this platform that you declare that Mick Lynch should take a pay cut?
I mean, no one should take a pay cut.
Pardon?
No one should take a pay cut. We should all be...
Everybody should...
But we need to narrow the gap. I mean, it is outrageous that some people are earning millions of pounds and a fifth of our people in this country are in poverty.
A lot of people are going to find it outrageous that these train drivers, the tube drivers, get paid between £50,000 to £60,000 for jobs that could be automated, by the way. I don't believe in automation. I don't think AI and everything is the way to go. But the reality is they could be automated. They get paid over £50,000. They are demanding, Mick Lynch is demanding an 11% increase, which just is completely unrealistic, given that train journeys are down 25%.
Yes, but you're still driving that train. It's a real skill, it's really important, and inflation is about 10%. If they're getting that pay increase, it's not really changing their wealth, it's keeping them up with inflation.
Greg Smith, final word to you. How do you think this is going to impact your party? Because, of course, yes, it's bad that Labour are in the pockets of the unions, but at the same time, this is the last thing the Tories need this summer, right?
It won't. Oh, sorry.
Well, look. The rail strikes, if they happen, will be a total disaster. Not for politicians, it'll be a disaster for real people trying to go about their daily lives, get their kids to school, get them to their exams, run their businesses. And to the point that was just coming out, you said it, the average rail salary for a driver at the moment is £59,000.
Yeah.
Compare that to a police officer, £41,000. A nurse, £31,000. All skilled jobs. And in fact, as reported in the Mail today, pay increases for train drivers have massively outstripped pay increases for virtually everyone else over the last decade. So let's have a huge dollop of reality here.
Yeah.
Rail
so
numbers
does Boris need to do a Thatcher here, Greg, and just stare Mick Lynch down and not negotiate?
I think we do have to stare Mick Lynch down, but negotiation is the way to resolve this. And all of those hard workers who pay their union subs in order to have a trade union that can effectively negotiate for them should probably be looking for a refund or a discount, because clearly they're not doing a very good job at negotiating.
Good stuff. That was Conservative MP, Commons Transport Committee member Greg Smith, the former Labour London Mayor Ken Livingstone, and the journalist and author Angela Epstein.